per hour with greater earning upon completion of training, as well as industrial refrigeration at $29.65 per hour, also with greater earnings upon completion of training. Now offering a $4,000 referral bonus and $1,000 hiring bonus. Apply on site every Wednesday and Thursday from 9 to noon or call 712-329-4333 for details. Tyson Foods, equal opportunity affirmative action employer, vets and disability.
Shop Woodhouse Place Hyundai and Nissan, 144th and Giles. KOZN, Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs. It's time to break down what went right and what went wrong during yesterday's game. Severe Reaction is on the air with your host, Michael Severe, and the most important voice of all, yours. Severe Reaction starts now. Powered by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally, only on 1620 The Zone.
Shotgun look, Grant in the backfield, 3 wideouts to the near side. Play action, Casey rolling, stepping, throwing, pass caught Trey Palmer at the 40-yard line, weaves his way to the 46. Ball comes out at the end of the play. Oklahoma says they have the football.
I think they do.
No signal yet. The officials are conferring. Was he down, and was it ripped away after he was down? Oklahoma ball. Kanik came out of there with it. So now we'll get to see if he was down before the ball got ripped away. It was a 21-yard pickup on the play to Trey Palmer.
The one on the field is a catch with a fumble recovered by the defense. First down. Oklahoma.
Really?
One wide out to the near side. 3rd and 7 from the Oklahoma 39. Gabriel in the gun. Claps the hands, gets the snap. The left-hander looks left, stepping out of the pocket. He's going to scramble. 45, 50. He's to the Nebraska 45, down the near sideline. 40, 30, 20, and then knocked that one. Did he go out of bounds? 15, 10, 5. He cuts back inside, and at the moment, it's a touchdown. Man, did he tightrope that entire sideline? If it stands, Oklahoma's within a PAT and tying the game up.
Unbelievable.
2 wide out, stacked to the near side, 2 to the right. Snap back, Gabriel sets a little
Double pass.
Pass to the tight end. Willis, he throws it down the field. Touchdown by Major. So a lateral back to Braden Willis makes the catch, and then wide open down the middle of the field was Marcus Major to pull it in for 6 more points for Oklahoma. They now lead at 27-7.
Back-to-back gadget plays.
This is on me. This is on me. Not my players, not my assistant coaches. I got to do a better job. And I will. I got to do a better job. I thought they fought to the end. I like to thank the fans. They hung in there with us, and we fed off the energy, but we didn't do enough. They beat us in all 3 phases of the game, offense, defense, and special teams. But this comes back to me. It's not my kids' fault, not my assistant coach's fault. This is on me. I got to accept responsibility for it, and I have. And we're going to get better next week. We got 8 games left. We're going to get ready to win some games.
Welcome to Severe Reaction here on 1620 The Zone. I am Michael Severe. On the other side of the table is the hater, Chance, the producer, who refused to play a positive highlight for Nebraska.
Not on purpose.
Me asking him to. Just want to make sure you understand that they do have that touchdown very early in the game. You may remember it. A pass to Trey Palmer. I asked for it to be played, and you know what? He said, no, I'm going to play the Trey Palmer fumble to start the second half because I am Chance the hater.
I mean, if you do look at my Twitter feed, one could call me a hater.
Can call you a hater?
Yes.
All right, that's fine.
I made an addendum to my it's like poetry, they rhyme tweet.
Yes.
Because after Northwestern lost to Southern Illinois yesterday, I added another George Lucas quote, which was, I may have gone too far in some places.
Yeah.
Because what are you doing, Northwestern?
I don't know. I think when we'll get to this, because all of that just makes Nebraska's season even look worse. But obviously, they stayed the extra day in Ireland, and whatever they did that extra day just destroyed them for the rest of the year. And we've all been there, right? I mean, maybe you've taken a trip to New Orleans and spent too much time in the French Quarter, and then the next couple of weeks you're still trying to recover. Maybe that's what happened in Northwestern.
Did they steal magic runes? What's going on?
I think that they had a really good time, and they weren't that good. I think we've learned Nebraska's not very good. We've learned, this is breaking news. Nebraska's not very good, and by the way, Northwestern's not very good. We learned that when they gave up over 400 yards or 470 or whatever to Duke we knew right then, they're not that good. And then they turn around and lose yesterday. One of many teams in the Big Ten that was struggling for wins yesterday. There was a moment in the afternoon. Of course, Nebraska was down big to Oklahoma, and we'll get to that game and look back at some of those things and what went wrong. And then, of course, hear from you, 402-951-1620. But, there was a time in the afternoon where early on, Rutgers was losing, and they ended up squeezing out a win. Northwestern was down. They were losing. Obviously, they lost. Indiana was down, ended up coming back, and I think won in overtime by 3. There were a couple other teams that were down. It was just an ugly beginning of the day for the Big Ten. Ohio State, of course, took care of business as everybody expected to. Michigan took care of business. Michigan State fell, which wasn't a surprise to me. That was one of the picks I put out there, saying I thought that was a good chance that Washington would take care of them. But it's the Big Ten, and the Big Ten West. If you just go down the rundown and you look at what Purdue has done, obviously what Nebraska has done, Wisconsin bounced back. That's good for them, bouncing back and doing that. Minnesota's probably the one team that you can look and say, if you're going to pick one of them to win it. Iowa did get over their number. I said Iowa minus 23.5 yesterday, and people were like, I don't think they can get to 23.5 in 4 games. Despite 3 rain delays, restarting the game after midnight last night, they did end up winning 27-0. If you didn't see it, Iowa ended up covering the number, which is shocking, but Nevada is really, really, really bad. We saw something yesterday at Memorial Stadium that we actually haven't seen in a while, right? It had been a while since we saw Nebraska get blown out. It's not something that we've seen recently. You have to go all the way back to the last time a national broadcast brought their programming to Lincoln. You go all the way back to the beginning of 2020, and ESPN Gameday comes to town, and Nebraska gets blown out by Ohio State, 52-17. Now, that game actually was, at least felt closer for most of that game than the one yesterday. But now you have Big Fox coming to town. You get the 49-14 blowout, which we all know right now is that you don't want any of those shows coming back. And the way Nebraska looks right now, it'll be a while before either one of those broadcasts come back to Nebraska. It's funny because obviously the conversation yesterday was all about Urban Meyer and stuff like that. And that's the way it's going to work when you have a coach. Thank you. When you have a coaching search and you have a coach who comes to town who's got, I believe he's still over 800 winning percentage in college. I know he's won multiple national championships. I know he's had multiple undefeated seasons. Anytime that kind of guy comes to town, you understand, especially when it comes to students, right? They're not worried about what Urban Meyer did at Jacksonville. They're not. Where you at? Where? They're not worried about what Urban Meyer did at Jacksonville.
Sorry, I was looking up his win percentage.
That's all right. They're not worried about the accusations that were made against Urban Meyer at any point. They weren't worried about any of that stuff either. But all they're thinking is there's a guy here who's with this broadcast who's won all these games. We saw him, have the years at Utah and Bowling Green and Florida and Ohio State. So they're not worried about any of that stuff. Anything else besides that. They're not worried about when he's left programs like Florida or Ohio State, that they've been a mess afterwards for a little while. They don't care about that. All they're thinking is they want Urban Meyer to be the head coach at Nebraska because he won a bunch of games before and they think he'd win games here. It makes sense. I mean, I completely understand that when something like that comes to town. Yesterday, so at Thursday night, I went to go see Central play Elkhorn South, only because my 8th grader, who's in the band at Lewis and Clark, was playing in the band as part of the middle school program. They bring them up and they play in the high school band, right? So we went to go see that. And I'm watching the game, and it was right away. Right away, I went, oh my God, Central's so little. And they got half as many kids as Elkhorn South. They're going to get killed. You know that feeling, right? You've seen that before when you go to a high school game. Mm-hmm. And occasionally in a college game, especially when it's like a G5 team, and you'll watch that G5 team play against their level. And you'll say, wow, you know what? That team's pretty good. Look at the athleticism. Look at the speed. They got pretty good size on the lines. This is a good team. And then that team who you thought was pretty good against their own level takes a step up. They play a Big Ten East team. They play an SEC West team or something like that. And then you say, oh, I see the differences. I see the speed difference from this level to the next level. and I see the size difference from this level to the next level. And as you're looking at it, you're like, oh, okay, I see. What I didn't see when they were playing against a team close to them is very obvious now. And you saw it pretty early on against Oklahoma. Obviously, the first drive for Nebraska was a thing of beauty. They even overcame a penalty. Remember a couple years ago when they couldn't overcome a drive if it had a penalty in it? They overcame a drive with a penalty, moved the ball on the ground and in the air. Really good throw, Casey Thompson to Trey Palmer. And you're like, okay, here we go. We've seen this from this offense before. This offense has the kind of skill on the edge to be able to challenge Oklahoma. The offensive line held up okay. Okay, we're good. And that's coming off of Nebraska deciding to defer, which I know there was a debate on a couple shows here on the Zone on, what should you do? Since your defense is playing poorly, do you really want to put them out there against Oklahoma to start? And they did, and they got to stop. And you're like, okay, this is all right. Obviously, it all changes when Dillon Gabriel on a more than 3rd and 7. I say that because Oklahoma hadn't converted a third down over 7 yards to go in the first 2 games of their season. You have that. Dillon Gabriel goes for 61 yards. And as he's running and you see Nebraska players chasing him, you're like wondering to yourself, what is going on? I know Dillon Gabriel's a good athlete. We saw it back Central Florida. We know that he's a good athlete. But he's kind of pulling away from guys. And then he turns to the sideline, and you see the kind of a push to push him out of bounds. And ahead of the play, you see a couple of Nebraska players, including Tommy Hill, who's like not really getting off the blocks. And Dillon Gabriel just turns and runs into the end zone. And you say to yourself, how did they just let that happen? I thought to myself at that point, okay, now you're worried a little bit because Dillon Gabriel's showing you that he's a dual threat quarterback. I don't know if this defensive line and linebackers can handle a dual threat quarterback based off what we've seen so far this season, just in space for them. And so you start getting worried a little bit. You're like, okay, now I'm concerned. But Nebraska turns around and gets another stop. So they stop Oklahoma on the 1st and 3rd drives of the game. In between, you could say, if you're positive, being a positive boy, that you are hey, that was a fluke play. Dillon Gabriel's run was a fluke play. 1st and 3rd drive, they got stops. Maybe this won't be so bad. Then, of course, the floodgates open. They start running the ball with ease. It seems like guys are running wide open. And you watch Oklahoma go 7 plays, 63 yards, touchdown. 5 plays, only 23 yards after a really nice punt return. When you watch a punt return against Nebraska, do you say to yourself, why can't Nebraska do this? When's the last time you saw a great punt return for Nebraska? I went and charted this a couple of weeks ago, and it's been a while. The last long one was actually Wyatt Lever, and it was in the exact same game as Oliver Martin. They both had over 30-yard returns. But other than that, most of Nebraska's returns, like yesterday, have been negative yards. You had a negative 1-yard punt return. But you see Oklahoma taking advantage of a kind of a short punt into the wind a little bit, gets a nice run back, only have to go 23 yards to get the touchdown, and then a 6-play drive for 63 yards. And at this point, it's 28-7, and I think most people are thinking, okay, they're going to drop whatever number they want on Nebraska. But the breaks that Scott Frost was asking for a lot of times and wondering when they're going to get it, they get it. They get a defensive pass interference on that next drive, and Nebraska's moving the ball pretty well, and it comes to 4th and 2. And I didn't like the 3rd down call very much. Not that I don't want to see Casey Thompson trying to run, because we've seen that he's okay doing it. Not great. But I think if you're going to run that play, again, use the quarterbacks you have on the team. We've seen Logan Smothers run that play successfully a couple times already this season, and we saw him run it last year. So why not bring him in to run that play? And then I know that there's people that are like, well, if you bring him in, they know what's coming. Minnesota, for as long as PJ Fleck's been there, has had a quarterback who's kind of the designated running quarterback, they bring him in, and many times it doesn't get stopped. So why can't that be the case with Logan Smothers? Or even, we saw yesterday, Brock Purdy's a pretty good athlete. So maybe you bring him in to do it. I don't know. I didn't like the third down call. And then the fourth down call, I really wasn't completely against Anthony Grant in that situation. We've seen Anthony Grant break tackles. We've seen him make plays in that kind of situation before in short yardage. So I thought, okay, you run him a little bit off tackle. He stumbles a little bit, and then he tries to keep his balance. It's really hard on the replay to see if his butt was down or if the knee was down. It probably was, but it was really hard to see. And Nebraska gets stopped. And then after that, Oklahoma just takes over. And 3 more drives with touchdowns. And I don't know if Nebraska had a whole lot of confidence after that drive. Because if you score on that drive, and they got to Oklahoma's 18, if you remember on that, you get that first down and you score, all of a sudden it's 28-14. You're hoping to get another stop against Oklahoma. I know you hadn't had one in a couple drives, but you're hoping to get a stop against Oklahoma there. I don't know. You score again. You never know. You can go all the way back to the Dylan Gabriel run. If that doesn't happen and Nebraska maintains some momentum, is it a different game? I don't know. Probably not. But in that situation, you get stopped at 4th and 2. The whole stadium I think there were some people were surprised that was 4th down. Just by the reaction of the crowd, it felt to me like maybe they weren't keeping track of the downs. But you don't get it on 4th down, and all of a sudden, all the energy in the stadium that was there, that whatever was left, is gone. And then you have Oklahoma busting out a trick play. You heard the double pass in the open, and they just put it on Nebraska. Here's the thing. If Coach Venables really wanted to punish Nebraska, he could have. I mean, he was pulling starters in the third quarter. They were kind of taking it easy on Nebraska late third quarter, certainly in the fourth quarter. They probably could have put a half 100 on Nebraska if they wanted. I mean, they got 49. They certainly could have gotten more than that.
They could have gone Kansas 07.
Yeah, certainly. They could have got 70 if they really wanted to. But, Venables doesn't want to get his guys hurt. He's got a long season to go. He's got this game won. It's the conversation about the anniversary of this game and what it meant to history. And we'll get to that a little bit with Dirk Chatlin's column from the Omaha World Herald, which I thought was great. It's so hard for those guys. They've written so many of these columns and stories about big losses for Nebraska over the last 7 years or so. Because of that, I don't know what they have left to write. The bucket should be empty. But Dirk did a really good job of writing, and we'll get to what he wrote about a little bit, because it was history. We had the night before with guys returning from Oklahoma and the fame, and Nebraska players were there, and they did the tribute video at the beginning. Larry Jacobson, good to see him up there, and of course Johnny the Jet was there. Coach Osborne was there. It was great, But as Barry Trammell wrote for the Oklahoman, yeah, it may look like Nebraska and Oklahoma. It may swim like, as he said, may quack like, but really it's not. It's just not. They're two teams that aren't playing anywhere near the same level. One team is been a few times to the college ball playoff, even though they've gotten beaten occasionally pretty bad, and Nebraska really hasn't sniffed it. So that's just the way it is. Nebraska was inside the Oklahoma 40 5 times. It's not a very good number for a whole game, but as we've talked about on this show before, since I've been doing severe reaction, you want your finishing drive rate to be at least 4 points. That means every time you get over your opponent's 40-yard line, you score at least 4 points. Get your touchdowns occasionally. If you have to settle for field goals, that's fine. Nebraska yesterday was 2.8 points per drive, successful drive. So those 5 times they went over the 40, they scored 14 points, 2.8. That's bad. That's not – under 3 is bad. 3 to 4 is, you wish you could do better. Over 4 is pretty good. Over 5 is exceptional. Oklahoma, and even though they were kind of shutting it down at the end, still crossed Nebraska's 40 10 times. And, of course, scored 49 points. So that's 4.9 points every time going over Nebraska's 40. That is extremely successful. And that's how you want to operate. Even though they had the missed field goal, even though they had drives at the end where they stopped because they weren't really trying to move the ball anymore and got stopped on downs, even with all of that. And really, it's funny, if you were doing success drive based on Football Outsiders, which is one of the analytics companies out there, and maybe even Pro Football Focus too, they eliminate the non-contested things. So if it's in a blowout or you're getting blown out, they will take those stats out. So they might not even include that other drive. So it might just be 9 inside. And it's even better. Then it's over 5 points, a trip into over the 40-yard line. So that's certainly possible. You want to get involved with the show, 402-951-1620. Of course, talk about what happened on the show in the game yesterday. The coaching search, we'll get into that. What Mickey had to say after the game as well. What Miles Farmer had to say was pretty interesting. Some people may take it as him being mad. I take it as you got to be incredibly frustrated at this point. You know, it took a while for him to earn a starting job. He's in there now, and the defense is playing the way they are. So I'm sure he's very frustrated. So we'll play that for you as well. And, of course, get your phone calls at 402-951-1620. We'll take a break. We'll come back. More severe reaction here on 1620 The Zone.
Listen to 1620 The Zone anywhere, anytime. Online at 1620thezone.com and on the 1620 The Zone mobile app. You can hear all of your 6A to 6P favorites in the 1620 The Zone app, powered by Woodhouse Auto Family.
The 2022-23 Creighton sports season holds great promise for competing for Big East and national honors, and 1620 The Zone will be there all year long. The 1620 The Jays podcast covers all of Blue Jay sports, from volleyball, soccer, and cross country in the fall to basketball in the winter, plus baseball, softball, tennis, golf, and rowing. Join me, John Bishop, along with Josh Peterson and Connor Happer each week for interviews with Creighton student athletes and coaches. It's the 1620 The Jays podcast. New episodes each Friday on 1620thezone.com and on Twitter at 1620 The Jays.
Ryan Radke here from Sunday Night Football on Westwood One. Week 2 has Mike Golick and me in Green Bay for the NFL's oldest rivalry, the Bears and the Packers. Aaron Rodgers and Green Bay can't be happy with their loss to the Vikings in Week 1. Now they face another NFC North opponent in the Bears, who won their opener against the 49ers. Join us from Lambeau Field on Sunday Night Football.
Right here on 1620, The Zone.
O'Reilly. See the road ahead more clearly with Sylvania Bulbs and O'Reilly Auto Parts. Right now, purchase select Sylvania Bulbs and get a $15 gift card after mail-in rebate, plus receive double O-Rewards points. Replace your bulbs today and see better tonight. Let the professional parts people help you find the bulbs you need. Visit O'Reilly Auto Parts or O'ReillyAuto.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
It's not easy being the one everyone counts on to keep the facility running, no matter the weather or supply chain hiccup. But we get you, Raymond in Buffalo, and Maria in Miami, Jules in Minneapolis, and Stan in Central Indiana, taking control of everything that's under your control. At Grainger, we're here for you with experienced branch staff at over 250 locations, so you get the product you're looking for. Call, clickgrainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Husker coverage on 1620 The Zone is presented by Tickets for Less. Tickets for Less is your local source for Nebraska football tickets. Compare and save today at ticketsforless.com. All the Nebraska football news, stories, experts, and coverage you need is on 1620 The Zone. Now, back to Severe Reaction. Powered by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. Here's your host, Michael Severe, on 1620 The Zone.
Thompson gets the shotgun snap, takes a shot toward the end zone. Palmer's there. He's got it. Touchdown, Nebraska. Trey Palmer's first score as a Cornhusker, 6-0 NU.
Yes.
Felt good till the game started.
The first drive on offense went according to plan, though.
Started fast. We got to be more consistent, though. I got to get them to be more consistent.
How do you work on that from the opening drive to follow?
Well, like I said, we got to look at some more players. We got to look at the roster and see who can help us, and we got to work them. We got to work some fundamentals. We got to clean up some fundamentals.
Welcome back. Severe Reaction. Nebraska falls to Oklahoma 49-14. Bye week next week, and then of course come back to play Indiana, which will be a night game, either 6 or 6:30. I'm not sure if they've done. I think tomorrow is when we'll know what time exactly that game is, if it's at 6 or 6:30. Another night game for Nebraska at home, so another chance for Nebraska to do their little celebration between the third and fourth quarters. Let's go to the phones. 951-1620, 402-951-1620. That's where Ken is this morning. Good morning, Ken. How are you?
Hey, what's going on, Michael? How you doing this morning?
Man, I got up. I came to work. I'm all right.
Hey, that's good, man. That's good. Glad to hear that. So we're not going to even talk about the talent. I think that's obvious this game.
Oh yeah.
But I was listening. I think it was Big Red overreaction, and Damon made a good point as far as the talent goes. Like, saying basically with the program and such disarray, kind of hard to really evaluate, what type of talent these guys actually have, everything being what it is. And, I guess I looked at that and I guess I kind of agree with that.
At some positions, Ken, right? I agree with him at some positions, but I think at this point we can evaluate offensive linemen that have been in the program for 4 or 5 years who still don't know who to block on the offensive line. I think we can kind of evaluate those guys.
Oh yeah, definitely. And then, then I guess with my point, what I always try to see, I'm not really, downplaying the talent Nebraska has. I'm just saying I think that, that some of the people that they play that has, their talent has gotten better, I guess is more what I'll be trying to say.
Right.
And one thing I did hear Mickey say, and I think you just played that clip, which I think is a good idea going forward, you just got to play different guys and see who wants it. Just let them get out there, man. It's, you don't really have anything to lose right now. Get some of those guys that may not perform, real good in practice or whatever. Let them get under the lights and see what they do, and then go from there. Because at this point, you got to do something, man. Because it's just really bad right now.
Oh, every position needs to be open. Every position needs to be open.
Exactly. There you go.
Hey, Ken, we appreciate it. Have a great Sunday, man.
You too, Mike. Thanks.
All right. So coming up later on the show, 9:30 or so, we'll chat with Steve Sipple from HuskerOnline.com, get his thoughts on what happened last night. Listen, yeah, I agree with Damon that it's almost like when your house is just a mess. You I don't know, you had a party or you're coming off of everybody being sick or whatever else, and the house is just in disarray. And it is really hard to look overall and go, you know what, this is a really nice house. Most times, because you can't see it, right? Everything is a problem. Everything's dirty. It's a little bit like that in Nebraska right now. Yeah, it's such a mess. It is kind of hard at times to evaluate some of the guys. But I'll say this. When you have guys on the offensive line who have been here anywhere from 4 seasons to 6 seasons, and they can't figure out where their eyes need to be, that is – so obviously that's part coaching. That's on Donnie, right? A little bit. But at the same time, as the players said, who went up in front of the podium yesterday, they're the ones on the field. Mickey can take all the blame he wants, and Mickey can say it's on me, it's not on my assistant coaches, it's not on the players. In the end, the players are playing, and they have to make plays. Bryce Benhart, several times yesterday, looked absolutely confused. At one point, he looks inside. I see him. Before the snap, I'm literally got the goggles on him. I got good binoculars, okay? These are really nice. Got them for my birthday 2 years ago. Love them. I'm on him, and I'm watching him, see what he's going to do. And he looks inside and sees who he has. And I'm sure he could count it off. There were 2 guys on that side. He had 3 blockers on that side. You have the center, you have the guard, and you have himself. And he looks inside, then he sets up, and he literally looks to his outside where there is no one, and lets the guy on the inside run right past him. And I thought, what are you thinking about? Why would you do that? Is it teaching? Is it development? Is it just not knowing? Is it being inept? Those things almost got their starting quarterback killed yesterday. Really. He's always taking big shots. There's something about the way Casey Thompson falls. He doesn't fall like a guy who's overly athletic, if you know what I mean. There are times that take, like Tyreek Hill takes big shots occasionally, but it always looks like he's kind of rolling off the shot a little bit. When it's Casey Thompson, it doesn't look like that. It looks like the times he gets hit, it looks like he's getting hit harder than most quarterbacks do, if you know what I mean. So anyway, you had that happen. They were moving guys on the offensive line. They took Kevin Williams out for a while. They brought Ethan Piper in. They had Turner Corcoran out there. They made some move. They did move some guys around. They brought in Henry Lutovsky. They brought in different guys. I think they played maybe 7 or 8 during the main part of the game on the offensive line. But I think Benhart played the whole game. I don't remember him coming out. And he was struggling badly. Now, I don't know if he needs to be a guard. We always have these conversations when guys at tackle are struggling. I don't know if he needs to be a guard or what, but he's not performing at the level where you can have him out there play after play. And Nebraska had him out there play after play. And that's dangerous. The defensive line, there's not enough guys. You know, Wynn played quite a bit, and I thought at times he played okay. Ty Robinson, I didn't see a whole lot from Ty Robinson. They had Hutmacher out there. I didn't see a ton from him. O'Shawn Mathis actually had some decent plays in the game. Looking over at some of the numbers that I always keep track of, you know, you look for pressures and you want plays that affect the opponent's quarterback. And O'Shawn Mathis had a couple of those plays. He had a couple tackles they call stuff tackles. That's 0 yards or less. He had a couple of those. Garrett Nelson had a couple plays during the game. Nebraska actually had 2 sacks in the game. But I think if you really want to identify the problem in that game yesterday, especially when it comes to Nebraska's defense, Luke Reimer, who is a really good, we all know Luke is a good player, and he's a good athlete. But there were 3 or 4 times where you saw him out there where the Oklahoma player was just better than him. Whether it was a juke move or outrunning him to the edge, he just was better. And Luke's one of Nebraska's best athletes in the secondary. You know, judging him by being not on secondary, second level, I should say. He's one of the best athletes back there. And he just got run by a couple times. And that's when you realize Nebraska's really got to up the talent level. And Mickey Joseph said it yesterday. Number 9, Chance. He said it yesterday when they asked him about that, you know, what they need to do in terms of talent. And he was very honest about the recruiting.
I think we got to do a better job in recruiting. They have better skill players. You know, we got to do a better job. But we have really good skill players also. We just got to get them to execute.
There are a couple of guys in that secondary, and I said it last week. Quentin Newsome is playing his heart out, making plays at times. I don't know if they counted it for him, but I thought he had a nice PBU, a nice pass broken up out there. I don't know if they counted it. Buford's playing well back there. He's one of the best tacklers on the team. Really. There was a couple times where he was in the open field and there's nothing he could have done. He came from the safety position and he was in open space. There was nothing he could have done. But when he has a chance, this guy makes tackles. And when he has a chance, he defends passes. Those 2 guys. Miles Farmer has his moments. He admitted yesterday in the press conference that he missed some plays. And then Tommy Hill, I don't know what's up with him. There's more than a few times on tape where you're like, you have to get off that block. You have to make that tackle. You have to make that play. Here's a good example. So you've got like 3rd and 6, and you're playing corner. You know what the call is on your defense. You know Nebraska. You know your team is sending extra pressure. They're sending plus pressure. In your mind, that means that quarterback's going to get rid of the ball quickly. So I have to crowd my guy, especially if he's running an in-breaking route. I have to, because he's going to have to get rid of it. That's not what happened yesterday. I don't know. I think Tommy Hill's a good athlete, but from what I've seen, I don't think he's a corner, not against this level of competition. I thought he was a safety when he came to the University of Nebraska. They got him playing corner. I don't know if that's the right play. Maybe this bye week will figure out for them where guys belong and who might be better somewhere else. That's the hope I have for the bye week. We'll take a break. We'll hear when we come back from Miles Farmer what he had to say. We'll also look at the guys on the afternoon show are joking about putting a parlay together with all of the Trev candidates for the job. It would have done pretty well yesterday. We'll go over that as well. More severe reaction and your phone calls as well. 402-951-1620 here on 1620 The Zone.
If taking care of your parents' final affairs has taught you anything, it's that you don't want your kids to have to do it for you. Write this number down, 402-397-5880. That's the number to the law office of Christian R. Blanc. Chris Blanc can walk you through the creation of your own estate plans that include power of medical attorney, living will, joint living trust, and more. Your initial consultation is always free. Call the law office of Christian R. Blanc at 402-397-5880.
Brent Rasmussen, of mortgage specialists.
When is the best time to buy a house? The answer is now. It's always now. With interest rates creeping up, the real estate market has slowed down, except for the people that were planning on upgrading their home because of life changes. But the one thing we want to let people know is, even if you buy a house now at the higher rate, we anticipate rates to fall. That means you can buy your house now and refinance down the road. Lots of folks think waiting this out is a good strategy. The trouble is values keep rising, so waiting doesn't really help. Plus, if rates come back down, the market will just get busy again, meaning you'll be competing against more buyers with multiple offers, and you might not get the house that you want. We're seeing the market starting to get back to normal, which is a good thing for buyers and sellers.
Click mtg-specialists.com. NMLS number 5918, Equal Housing Lender.
Hey everyone, Jimmy Allen.
And Rob Love here. We are now working banker hours.
That's right, the After Hours Lounge is now open from 6 to 8, Monday through Friday.
So come stop by and open up a tab.
We talk all things Huskers, Jays, Mavs, and even Reavers.
And we talk to everyone in the community when it comes to high school sports. We are powered by Cabinet Design Studios.
And Iowa Western Community College.
On 1620 The Zone.
Hello, I'm Doug Nodgaard with Equitable Bank. If you've been dissatisfied with your current banking situation, maybe it's time to move to a bank that works to deserve your business. We have an engaged staff that offers exceptional personalized service. We also have a great digital banking platform. We have 2 locations at 108th and Dodge or 202nd and Pacific. So if you're looking for a superior banking relationship, give us a call at 402-827-8100. We'll answer on the first ring. Equitable Bank, we take banking personally. Member FDIC.
Since this is a radio commercial, you can't see the people standing behind me. They're the Langfeld family. Everybody wave. Oh, sorry. You can't see them because radio. Anyway, the Langfelds are the family behind Langfeld Overhead Door, where they proudly install Midland garage doors to fit any space and style. And they don't take a backseat to anyone when it comes to their service. Because if something goes wrong, it's their name on the line. So they're going to make sure it goes right every single time. Langfeld Overhead Door, 402-234-2700.
Now, back to Severe Reaction, powered by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. Here's your host, Michael Severe, on 1620 The Zone.
What would you like to see fixed about the run defense right away?
We gotta make the tackle. That's it. We just gotta make the tackle. I'm not gonna tell y'all what we gotta do in-house for real, but at the end of the day, we gotta tackle.
It's Miles Farmer, starting safety for the University of Nebraska. Being very honest, you have the opportunity with Dylan Gabriel running down the field like he was. Somebody's got to make that play. I always think back to that Michigan game, which Denard Robinson, Michigan against Nebraska, and Levante David made 2 or 3 plays where it was either going to be a touchdown or it was going to be a really long run. But he just made the play. He was the guy. He dove at Robinson's ankles and tackled him at the last minute and made the play. There's got to be somebody. And in the last year and a half or so, it's been Luke Reimer. Occasionally this season, it's been Gifford, who's made a couple of those tackles. Buford has made a couple of those tackles. Garrett Nelson's made a couple of those tackles. But there's not enough guys making those tackles from game to game. And so instead of holding them to, a 6-yard gain, it's a 61-yard gain. And that's got to be frustrating for those guys. Speaking of frustrating, Miles Farmer, after talking about tackling and stuff, as he's going through the questions, could you play the first one? Ask me all the questions. This is Miles Farmer. And again, this is, I think, just the frustration coming out in the losing and the way the defense is played.
You got to keep playing, man. It ain't nothing I can really tell you, but other than just keep playing. Y'all going to ask me all these questions that I really don't want to answer. But at the end of the day, y'all not in here with us. Y'all not at practice with us. So it's just, we got to keep playing football, basically.
And then one of the reporters, Amy just asked him, so what do you want to say to the people who aren't in there? We aren't in the locker room. We're not allowed to see practice. What do you want to say to those people? What do you want them to know? And that's Miles Farmer, number 3.
People who aren't in there with y'all, what do you want to say to the people who aren't in there, don't see what you see? What is your message to them right now?
There is no message. Y'all not in here with us. What y'all want to know for? Y'all gonna see what happens on Saturday. We just gotta come to work. That's all.
Again, just frustrating. He also referenced when they were talking about tackling that we've been tapping off now, or just thudding up kind of stuff for years now. It takes a while to get past that. That was Miles Farmer yesterday, just dealing with frustration. Mike says on Twitter, it's going to be interesting to see how good Oklahoma is going forward. Several teams that beat Nebraska and looked so good doing it have fallen on their faces the week or two later. Look yesterday at Northwestern and the game against Duke, and of course Northwestern yesterday, and in Georgia Southern, that's predictable. It is. I mean, as much as it was predictable that App State wouldn't play as well against Troy coming off of a big win, and that Texas would struggle in the first half coming off of a tough loss. I mean, anytime you have teams that play those kinds of games, there's a good chance that there's going to be a bit of a letdown. Georgia Southern comes off of their biggest win in their program's history, going into Nebraska and winning. And Georgia Southern's a team that won national championships at the lower level. So, I mean, at this level, when that happens, what day is it when they've moved on? Like Wednesday of the week? You'd hope if you're the coach, you can get them to move on by Monday, but you probably can't. How long did it take the folks at App State to move on? And again, they ended up winning the game in the end, but they were sluggish for a long time, and it probably took them a long time to get over just the joy of getting a big win. So that's not surprising, but he's right. Mike's right. I mean, Northwestern's obviously not very good compared to – now, I will say that one of the things that you know about Fitz is this is pretty much a guarantee. If he has extra time to prepare, his teams are going to be better. They are. We've seen that about him. He's one of those coming off the bye week guys. And, yeah, he had all offseason to prepare for Nebraska. I know they had a new offensive coordinator, Mark Whipple, but he's seen everything Mark Whipple's ever done on tape, wherever you want to look, whether it be at Pittsburgh or UMass or whatever. So he knew. And I think they were prepared for Nebraska. Now, there's no excuse for Nebraska losing the game the way they did. It's not. They had every opportunity to win that game. And as we know, the onside kick just ruined it for them. By the way, Northwestern had to have an onside kick yesterday to be able to get the ball back and couldn't do it. Didn't get the onside kick, and, of course, ended up losing the game based on, just not playing that well. I watched a good chunk of that game because it was one of the ones that I gave out early. I thought that they could struggle in it. But, man, I didn't think they would ever lose the game. That wasn't something I expected. Southern Illinois beat them 31-24, and if you watch the game, Southern Illinois looked like the Power 5 team, But Northwestern falls, Georgia Southern falls, Nebraska falls, and now we're sitting, as a lot of people said yesterday, probably going to be a really long year. Now, take a bye week, fix some things. One of the things that Mickey said yesterday, Mickey said yesterday about the bye week and play 7, because this is what Mickey Joseph says they're going to do more of in the bye week.
We got to work more fundamentals with him this week. We got to find a good 5 combination of 5 of them and see how it works. But we got to look at, like I said, we got to look at some young kids. We got to look at some backups and see if they can help us.
The backup part is interesting because we have seen teams before where you make a couple of moves and those guys come in and it just works better. I don't know. We saw Singletary play back there a little bit. We saw Braxton Clark come in for Tommy Hill. We saw a lot of backups come in as the game was going along. Did he see enough? Is he going to see enough on tape of those guys? Is he going to see enough in practice to decide? I mean, if you just go Casey Thompson, I like Casey Thompson. When Casey Thompson's got a clean pocket, you see what he does, but he's not getting a lot of clean pockets. They moved the pocket once, made a nice play. Probably should do that more. But Brock Purdy's a better athlete, and Brock Purdy can escape some of these issues, and he has a really good arm. So do you decide that maybe we go with Brock Purdy coming off the bye week? You never know. Got a perfect opportunity against an Indiana team that's been struggling. So maybe you do. We go to the phones, 402-951-1620. Let's go to Brian. Hello, Brian. How are you?
What's going on, Michael?
Brian, what's up? What's up?
What's up over here? Looking at FanDuel before I go across the bridge,
Okay. Yeah. Gotcha. I understand.
You know, I go. But this is what I have to say. My thing that's bothering me most this weekend is people that's clamoring for Urban Meyer.
Yeah.
And this is what I have to say. The news cycle in my head this week. I've seen Brett Favre. Don't need to say no more about that.
Right.
And it made me think about what I heard you say, or your little clip on Twitter that's going on social media.
Yeah.
It made me think if some of that stuff that man that we had being head coach here did makes me feel like, man, well, did you really work for your money? Can I technically say you kind of stole some? I'm still deliberating that. And why would I, after thinking of Brett Favre and Scott Frost doing what he did, which is laziness to me, why would we want Urban Meyer, another sore, another cancer to come along? I wouldn't want that man coaching my team. I want a coach that's going to develop, and I want you people here to stop thinking it's going to be 3 years to turn around. What if it's 4 years?
Right.
I want somebody just to commit to the process and people to get on the same wavelength, stop all this dissension that's been going on down there for 20 years without an Urban Meyer. I do not want that quick of a fix. I'm not that desperate.
I get it. But if I told you, like I guaranteed you, Genie in the bottle, guaranteed you that in 2 years he'd have Nebraska playing for a Big Ten title, would you still say no?
Just with that, I couldn't just accept that condition. Yeah, I would say no.
Because in general, in 2 years, most places he's been, that's what it's taken. 2 years.
Yeah, 2 years, and then what's gonna happen in year 3? You gonna hit us with some stupidity?
Well, I mean, he was at Ohio State, I think 7 seasons, and he won 83 games and lost 9.
Yeah, I can't argue about the win-loss. I can't argue about the coaching.
Right.
I'm just looking at us, all the stuff we've been through.
Right.
I'm getting tired. I'm tired of it.
I understand.
I just want some consistency, basically. Let's just go through the process how I feel. Now, I know people might want him. I'm not going to doubt. That's your personal opinion. Just me, of all the stuff we've been through, the dissension, the coaches, especially this last one, not doing his job, man, I need something a little bit more solid than that.
Brian, here's something solid for you. I know it sounds crazy. I like Dallas plus the 7 since you're heading over the Council Bluffs.
What do you think about Washington? Even though they lost the last few to Detroit. I have nothing on that game. I've not looked at that one. I would tell you the Saints at home against Tampa is a pretty good bet. Getting the 2.5 or 3. And I know Pittsburgh, you like to take them when they're an underdog, but I think the game after the game they're an underdog. They haven't been great. Take New England and give the 2.5. I think that's a 3 I like. All right. I like that, Mike. Thank you very much.
No problem.
No problem. Have a good Sunday.
You too. Enjoy your investments over in Council Bluffs. And very soon, the investments will be able to be bet here in Nebraska, and the money will stay here in Nebraska, hopefully. Which would be a really good thing because we pay so much taxes. 402-951-1620 if you want to get involved in severe reaction. He mentioned the name of a coach that's getting mentioned a lot. There's a lot of other ones. Urban Meyer. Ding. There's a lot of other ones, though. A lot of them that are more viable as candidates. And they all had a pretty good day yesterday. We will talk about them, got to go over that list, and maybe kind of adjust what the most likely candidate might be for Trev to pick to be the next head coach at the University of Nebraska. We'll do that when we come back here on Severe Reaction.
A new season is underway for Creighton men's and women's soccer and women's volleyball, which means we need you in the stands. Don't miss any of the action this season as your Creighton Blue Jays compete for a Big East title. Affordable tickets for the whole family start as low as $7. Get your tickets online at gocreighton.com/tickets and cheer on the Blue Jays all season long. That's gocreighton.com/tickets.
Wendy's new French toast sticks are so delicious, some are saying that they're better than their mom's breakfast.
Excuse me. Did you just say Wendy's new French toast sticks are better than my breakfast?
Mom, is that you?
Answer the question.
I said some people are saying that because they're so crispy on the outside and fluffy on the inside and perfect in every way.
Uh-huh. And what do you think?
I think it's time to tell people to choose wisely. Choose Wendy's new sweet and crispy home-style French toast sticks.
That's still not an answer.
At participating U.S. Wendy's during breakfast hours.
When you have trouble sleeping, it's tough. When kids have trouble sleeping,
Mom, I can't sleep. Dad, just one more story?
for nights like this, try Vicks Pure Z's Kids. Our great-tasting gummies are specially formulated for kids with a unique blend of botanicals and a low dose of melatonin to support their natural sleep cycle. Best of all, they're drug-free and non-habit forming. Help your child fall asleep naturally with Pure Z's Kids Gummies. Consult with a doctor before use. For ages 4 and up.
J-Tech Construction, the official exterior experts of the Huskers, offers exterior solutions that help you protect your number one investment. Whether it's roofing and siding or windows and doors, they're committed to excellence, quality, and outstanding customer service in every step of the process. When it's time to protect the exterior of your home, your choice is simple. Turn to who the Huskers turn to, J-Tech Construction. Check them out online and schedule a free estimate today. J-Tech Construction, the official exterior experts of the Huskers.
Serve Nebraska believes that volunteers are part of what makes Nebraska great. Each year, the Step Forward Awards honors volunteers from across the state who serve their communities in outstanding ways. We hope you'll join us this year at the Step Forward Awards luncheon on October 27th in Omaha. Help us thank volunteers with a celebration to remember. To register, visit serve.nebraska.gov and click Register Now. We hope to see you there. Paid for by Serve Nebraska. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Hello, I'm Doug Nodgard with Equitable Bank. If you've been dissatisfied with your current banking situation, maybe it's time to move to a bank that works to deserve your business. We have an engaged staff that offers exceptional personalized service. We also have a great digital banking platform. We have 2 locations at 108th and Dodge or 202nd and Pacific. So if you're looking for a superior banking relationship, give us a call at 402-827-8100. We'll answer on the first ring. Equitable Bank, we take banking personally. Member FDIC.
Now, back to Severe Reaction, powered by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. Here's your host, Michael Severe, on 1620 The Zone.
First and goal at the 8, snap back. They give it off to Chubba, keeps it himself, racing to the right, to the 10, to the 5. Chubba Purdy dives for the pylon, and it is a touchdown, Nebraska. Chubba Purdy with a scramble for 8 yards and a score.
Welcome back to Severe Reaction here on 1620 The Zone. I think the button was stuck, Chance. It felt like a little sticky.
Yeah, it wasn't working a couple weeks ago. I thought they fixed that.
You know what maybe it has on it?
What?
Jam.
Just like the radar?
It's got a little jam on it. That's why. That was Nebraska's second
Raspberry.
and only touchdown with Chubba Purdy running it in, showing his athleticism. You know, we always joke about sneaky athletic, but he's a really good athlete. If you go back and watch the few highlights at Florida State that he made, a couple times where he's rolling left, gets his shoulder squared, he makes big throws. He's a good athlete. And I think it was kind of a close competition among the 2 quarterbacks. Casey Thompson had the advantage. More starts, more time where he was healthy. Chubba had the problems in the spring where he couldn't play. So that's probably why Casey Thompson won the job. But certainly there was an opportunity for Chubba to be able to win that job. And he showed a little bit against Oklahoma. And hopefully if it goes the way he wants it and his family wants it, he shows it during the bye week. And then we'll see what happens against Indiana when they play at night in Memorial Stadium. Let's go back to the phones. That's where Jason in KC is. Good morning, Jason. How are you doing?
Hey, good morning, Michael. Hey, went up to that game, man. It was fun leading right up to it, man. We hit up Misty's and did the Fox Big Noon show. Those guys know how to do it right. It was definitely an upgrade from the ESPN Gameday show. Those guys were fan friendly. We kick out, we score on that first drive and things were looking good, but it didn't work out. But it was frustrating. We got to get it turned around. But as far as the coaching aspect, after you take one on the chin like that yesterday, it's like you'll take anybody right now at this point. And it's Trev's decision, but we know he has a history of he hates losing more than he enjoys winning. I mean, I believe he said that.
He did.
So the bottom line is whether you like Urban or not, or you like another coach. I mean, he has a history there. I mean, he did what he had to do, and there's people that still despise him to this day. And if he does go down that Urban road, we know it's already a divided fan base, but he hates losing more than he enjoys winning. And I don't care who he gets to this point. I love Mickey. I mean, he seems to talk the part, but he could be like Erstad and Scott Frost. You lose so much, and by the end of that losing, you become a robot, and it eats you up. And so, like I said, I hope we can get it going here, in the final 8 games, but win some ball games. But who knows? But it's going to be a tough decision for Trev and whoever he picks. Let's just hope that they get it turned around. But
hey,
like
Jason, can I ask you a quick question? Not to get too personal, but you come down here for the big weekend. Can you give me a rough estimate on how much you spent to have this weekend, tickets, all that kind of stuff?
Oh, I mean, it was, $300-$400. I mean, like
that's not bad. That's not bad.
And that, so it really wasn't bad. I mean, it was, all that, but like you said, it felt like a bowl-like atmosphere.
It did.
I talked to those Fox executive producers, a couple of them. There was a lot of runners. I mean, it takes a lot of people to run those shows.
It does.
And I told them, I said, you guys did it right, man. I mean, you guys, like I said, I was there a student back in the 90s when ESPN was there. And it was great back then, putting the goalposts on the course of the desk. And like I said, it's fun, man. But I hope Trev can get this turned around. But whoever he picks, I'm gonna hope that he's doing the right thing. But we got it. Like I said, we got. I'm to the point like Trev. I hate losing, more than sometimes I do. I love winning. I mean, but this what we took yesterday.
Yeah,
it was a long second half, and one final. I mean, if they care about the players' health, now in this day and age, like I love the '90s. It was rough football. It is, but. I was surprised, they don't institute a running clock after a certain week, if you're looking after players' health.
Right.
It was rough. I mean, somebody could have got hurt.
Hey, Jason, we appreciate it, man. Thanks for the call.
You betcha.
Yeah, Jason's right about one thing. And again, I'm a big Mickey fan. Everybody knows I'm a fan of Mickey Joseph. But losing is contagious. And when you're on a staff and you're losing a lot, to get the players over the hump, to get the coaches over the hump, to believe they can win a game is not easy. And I think that's where they are right now. And whoever comes in, I hope Mickey gets to stay. I like him. Guys like Barrett Rude, I think Barrett does a really good job with the talent they have there. But I don't know all the changes that's going to happen, but there are some guys I'd love to see hang on. But whoever they bring in, that coach has to be given the full reins. You can't put any stipulations on them. You can't tell them you have to keep this person. So whoever they bring in, you let them make their decisions. But, God, I'd love for Mickey, with his recruiting prowess, to be able to stay if he could. Go back to the phones, 402-951-1620. That's where Jim is. Good morning, Jim.
Hey, good morning, Michael. I love your show, and I really miss you when you're on 1620 more often.
Thanks, Jim.
But my comment is Lance Leipold is now 3-0 with Kansas, and they beat Houston.
Yep.
They beat the University of Houston. He's been on there for 2 years, and he has gotten his players to play at a level that Scott Frost never came close to. And Frost had 4.5 years, and he was an utter failure in player development. And that's just readily apparent by his record and what we saw yesterday on the field.
Jim, I completely agree with you. Let me just say this first. It's Lance Leipold. We got to get that right. If we want to hire that guy, we got to get his name right. Leipold.
Okay, well, I stand corrected.
That's our guy. UNO, University of Nebraska. He's a guy that knows Nebraska very well. He's been here. We would love to see it. He was here almost 15 years between UNO and UNL.
Well, he's shown what he can do with Kansas. I mean, if you want to talk about a mediocre program, all you have to do is look at the Jayhawks.
Oh, yeah.
And in 2 years, if he can get them to beat Houston, which is a darn good football team. In fact, I believe they were ranked in the top 25 at one time, at least a preseason.
Yep.
There's no way that this team could even come close to beating Houston.
No, I completely agree, Jim.
All right, well, Michael, I'll hang up now, but I love your show.
Thanks for the call. We appreciate it. And I'm going to go over that list at the top of the hour of how those guys did. And Lance is right there at the top. He's doing something that hasn't been done again. Nebraska, under Scott Frost, never won 3 in a row. And Lance Leipold just did it at Kansas. Think about that. Let's click phone call. Pat. What's up, Pat? How you doing?
Hey, nice to talk to you here, Michael. So I got a question for you and kind of want to get your take on it too. I feel like this Indiana game is kind of like the most important game of Nebraska football coming up.
Right.
And I say that because, I mean, you know, if they lose, I think the locker room's kind of gone. I mean, I think guys kind of watching yesterday, there was a lot of give up, and I think that just increases. But if they win, you know, who knows, might turn it around. But I really feel like if this game goes south against Indiana, they're not going to win another one all year.
Yeah, no, I agree. You're right. You're right there's a feeling right now on this team that it either maybe they could win 3 or 4 games, or this season could end with only 1 win, which would be obviously horrible. But there's that feeling. I see what you're talking about.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, thanks. Nice talking to you.
Thanks, Pat. I appreciate it. You know, you have a situation where Mickey Joseph is obviously doing everything he can to be able to get them motivated to play. But especially when you're losing the way they lost yesterday, because Jason was right from Kansas City. The atmosphere was really incredible. There was a feeling in the building beforehand, just on the field, in the stadium, in the press box. You know, all the people were there. The national media was there. You know, Dennis Dodd was there for Oklahoma, Nebraska, a guy who grew up around that series. You know, the Oklahoma people, Barry Trammell was there. The Orange Bowl people were there, of course, looking at Oklahoma. There were some other bowl guys there that were looking at Oklahoma. And you had this feel like, okay, this is big. This is huge. This is how it should feel. And within the first 5 minutes of the game, you were like, uh-oh. Here we go. Another game that has a big feel, but it's going to go against Nebraska. But yeah, he was right. Hey, John, stay right there. We'll talk about the assistants when we come back. We got to take a break, top of the hour. We'll take a break. We'll come back. More of your phone calls. We'll also talk about some of the other coaches that are on Trev's list, how they did yesterday as well, and maybe some other jobs that are open that Nebraska is going to have to battle for those coaches against when we come back here on Severe Reaction.
Shop Woodhouse Place Hyundai and Nissan, 144th and Giles. KOZN, Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs.
After 24 years as an Omaha staple, Horseman's Park Simulcast facility is getting ready for major renovations on Sunday, September 18th. The Simulcast facility is preparing to move to its transitional infield location. So before casino construction begins, don't miss this opportunity to watch and wager on over 700 TVs. Take advantage of food and drink specials, door prizes, and so much more. Come enjoy Horseman's Park before we move to the track infield. Open 7 days a week. Horseman's Park, Omaha's best bet.
Hey everyone, Jimmy Allen.
And Rob Love here. We are now working banker hours.
That's right. The After Hours Lounge is now open from 6 to 8, Monday through Friday.
So come stop by and open up a tab.
We talk all things Huskers, Jays, Mavs, and even Reavers.
And we talk to everyone in the community when it comes to high school sports. We are powered by Cabinet Design Studios.
And Iowa Western Community College.
On 1620 The Zone.
J-Tech Construction, the official exterior experts of the Huskers, offers exterior solutions that help you protect your number one investment. Whether it's roofing and siding or windows and doors, they're committed to excellence, quality, and outstanding customer service in every step of the process. When it's time to protect the exterior of your home, your choice is simple. Turn to who the Huskers turn to, J-Tech Construction. Check them out online and schedule a free estimate today. J-Tech Construction, the official exterior experts of the Huskers.
Hello, I'm Doug Nodgaard with Equitable Bank. If you've been dissatisfied with your current banking situation, maybe it's time to move to a bank that works to deserve your business. We have an engaged staff that offers exceptional personalized service. We also have a great digital banking platform. We have 2 locations at 108th and Dodge or 202nd and Pacific. So if you're looking for a superior banking relationship, give us a call at 402-827-8100. We'll answer on the first ring. Equitable Bank, we take banking personally. Member FDIC. Hello, I'm Doug Nodgaard with Equitable Bank. If you've been dissatisfied with your current banking situation, maybe it's time to move to a bank that works to deserve your business. We have an engaged staff that offers exceptional personalized service. We also have a great digital banking platform. We have 2 locations at 108th and Dodge or 202nd and Pacific. So if you're looking for a superior banking relationship, give us a call at 402-827-8100. We'll answer on the first ring. Equitable Bank, We take banking personally. Member FDIC.
Get ready for the scare of a lifetime, because Madness Haunted House is back once again. Seek the thrills and horror at the new location at Pioneer Trail Orchard. Over 2 acres and 30 minutes of quality screams and fear. Madness Haunted House, the haunt that wouldn't die.
Now, back to Severe Reaction, powered by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. Here's your host, Michael Severe, on 1620 The Zone.
Do you need to be talked about gap integrity on defense any better today, or the same?
You watched the game? You seen it? No, it wasn't there. It wasn't there. But that's not on him. That's on me. No, we're gonna go back and look at this film, and we're gonna dissect this film, and we're gonna find the kids that was doing what we was asking them to do, and the kids that can tackle and that can block and do the right things, and we're gonna increase their reps if there wasn't a starter.
Interim head coach Mickey Joseph talking after the game yesterday about the plans for the bye week and how they're going to handle that in terms of development. Hour number 2 of Severe Reaction here on 1620 The Zone. Pro Football Focus does their grades, and on Husker Online, and by the way, we'll chat with Steve Sipple coming up to 9:30, speaking of Husker Online, and they rank, based on the amount of snaps you play and how many sacks you give up and hurries for the offensive line. I mean, run grade, pass grade, and all that stuff. Bryce Benhart, Trenton Hickson, and Turner Corcoran all played 78 plays, played the whole game. Bryce Benhart and Turner Corcoran, 2 of the lowest scores of anybody on the team, overall grades. A 50 grade from Bryce Benhart and a 39.4 grade from Turner Corcoran. They both gave up 2 sacks. Benhart gave up 3 hurries. Corcoran gave up 2 hurries. Corcoran had a penalty. Their run grades were 54 for Bryce Benhart, 39 for Turner Corcoran, 39 pass grade for Bryce Benhart, not a shock, and 40% for Turner Corcoran. 2 of the lowest scores in terms of these grades across the board on the whole offense for Nebraska came from 2 guys who played every single play, which tells you that whoever's behind them must really be bad, that they couldn't pull them off the field and put somebody else in. Let's go back to the phone, 402-951-1620. That's where John is this morning. Good morning, John.
Oh, good morning.
Hey, John.
Look, I'm just driving along the highways of South Louisiana right now.
Nice.
But when whoever we have as a coach, whether it's Mickey Joseph or whomever, can we go back to the day, and I'm going back to Bob Devaney and then Tom Osborne. What was Nebraska known for more than anything else?
The pipeline. The pipeline.
Well, the pipeline, but how about the assistant coaching staff?
Yeah.
Which was, for that time, one of the best paid and certainly one of the most successful coaching staffs, and they stayed together for a while. So why are we going out and getting an off when we know offensive line is a major part of the Big Ten?
Yeah.
And this is nothing on the man himself, but why are we going out and hiring somebody for $300,000? And what is, in the Big Ten, one of the most important position groups, if not possibly the most important position group to have in this conference?
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense. If you're gonna pay a head coach $7 million, and hey, that may be what it takes. In fact, probably will be. If you're going to pay him that rate, get him assistants that are not to that rate, but comparably being paid, and get good ones. If there's a good one out there, and there's a $200,000 difference between what you want to pay and what he wants, but you know that he'll do the job, hire him, bring him in. We always seem to nickel and dime ourselves. I mean, until recently, as far as basketball coaches, even football, who can we get that will come in for the little amount of money that we want to pay? And that's just not the way to do business.
Right. No, I agree with you, John. Be safe out there, man.
Hey, thanks.
Right.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, no, I understand. And bringing in Dominic Raiola, interesting because he had never been in a position like this before. And sometimes that's where you find guys. There are times where you go find guys who are assistants, who maybe are at a different level, or maybe an assistant in the NFL, and you say, okay, I see the potential in this guy to be a good recruiter. I see the potential in this guy to be able to coach my guys up and get them motivated, right? I just don't think the talent is there on the offensive line for that to happen. I think if Milt Tenopper could come back and coach those guys, they weren't going to get any better. The talent is, we've seen them. We've seen Corcoran now for 3 or 4 years. We've seen Ben Hart for 3 or 4 years. We've seen these guys, and we know who they are, and this is who they are. I don't know if that would make a difference. I do agree that you have the money. Assistant coach talent pool should be comparable to the salary pool. So that's where Scott Frost struggled when he came here, deciding that he would just go with his own guys instead of throwing some money at established guys that had been in the Big Ten. And whoever's next, I'm sure Trev's going to give them the money that they need to be able to hire the assistants that they need to come in here and be able to recruit and coach. I'm almost positive of that. That money pool, that salary pool for your assistants is incredibly important. Let's go back to the phone, 402-951-1620. Let's go to Cheryl. Good morning, Cheryl. How are you?
Hi, Michael. How you doing?
I'm all right.
Good. My comment is I don't understand how anybody thought that we were going to win yesterday. And with all the coaching names that have been thrown around, I don't think anybody that could have been placed in there yesterday with that short amount of time that was going to win yesterday, or even the rest of the season, have a successful season. So I don't know why Mickey is being treated the way he's been treated. His name just overlooked. That's my comment, and I'll hang up and listen.
Right, thank you. And I didn't see anybody pick, well, on Big Fox, some people picked Nebraska to win. But in terms of local media, I think everybody picked a reasonably close game, something between a 10 and 20-point loss. That's kind of what people expected from the game. I picked 38-28. I thought Nebraska would score more points. I thought that Oklahoma, which they've had problems this season, would have more 3-and-outs. I did. And I thought it'd be 38-28, somewhere around there. Wouldn't be surprised if it was like 45-24, something like that. But in the end, Mickey has been a head coach, but not at this level before. And so when you start determining, is he your next guy? Is he your builder? You do have to talk about experience. You have to talk about experience being at this level, coaching guys and winning. That's why a lot of the people that are on the list are on the list. And we'll go over that in a second. But I don't, from what I've heard, people are not riding Mickey about this. They're not. They understand what he was thrown into. They know what he tried to do this week. And they're like, hey, go in the bye week, get it done, come back and beat Indiana. That's what it feels like to me from most of the people out there. Let's go back to the phones where Scott is. Good morning, Scott.
Good morning, Michael. Hope you're doing well.
Doing okay, man. How are you feeling?
Oh, good. I appreciate you asking. Having a good weekend.
Nice.
Hey, I just want to get your thoughts on a couple things. Everybody wants Mickey to get a fair look, and this thing appears so off the rails right now that you wonder if he can get an objective look. And I'm curious, if you're the AD, like, what are you looking for? I know, there's going to be some intangibles, right? Effort and hustle and execution. And you got to probably have some tangibles in there, right? Maybe scratching out 3 or 4 wins. And I'm curious to hear your thoughts on that if you're Trev. And the other thing I wanted to ask you is, in your mind, does Mickey making a potential big change like it maybe at BC, does he do himself any favors, or is that just unrealistic in this situation? Thanks, man. Have a great weekend.
Appreciate it, Scott. Take the second question first. Firing a guy like Eric Chinander, if you did that, like, what do you do then? Are you promoting, I guess, Dawson to be the coordinator then and replacing him with who? A guy who was a GA or an analyst? I mean, what are you doing? I don't think there's anywhere to go right now. These are the guys you have. You aren't bringing any new guys to coach. Eric Chinander's been working with these guys, most of them, a lot of newcomers, but a lot of guys he's been working with for multiple years. I think that's your guy. Through the end of the season, that's your guy. On the other side, Trev gets to see things we don't get to see. He gets to go to practice. He gets to talk to the players, not media talking to the players, but athletic director talking to the players. He gets to talk to the assistant coaches. He's going to be able to judge Mickey fairly because he has that ability to be there and see it. All we're going to see is the games. And Yes, there's the tangible. You need to get some wins. Indiana's a beatable team. Of course, Nebraska is too, but they're a beatable team. Rutgers on a Friday night, that's a winnable game. You know, I look at what the way Illinois is playing, and I look at them and I think to myself, you know what? Yeah, I like their defense, but Nebraska can beat that team. Purdue is a team that Nebraska can beat. They have the talent to do it. Can they? Will they beat all four of them? Probably not, based off what we know. Will they lose to all four? It could happen. But it's out there with 4 games that I believe Nebraska has a chance to win. The way Minnesota's playing right now, Iowa's defense, say whatever you want about their offense, it'd be hard to score against that team. I told that to the guy who called last week and told me the offense is going to roll on whoever they play. Not against better competition, it's not. We know what Wisconsin is. We do. So there are teams on this schedule that Nebraska can beat. Mickey has to beat them in order to be able to consider, in my opinion, consider for the head job. Let's go back to the phones. Joined by Gary in New Jersey. Good morning, Gary. How are you?
Michael, how are you this morning?
Well, I'm not in New Jersey, man, so I'm doing all right. I'm just playing.
So, well, yeah, you're right about that. So I didn't get a chance to watch the game yesterday. I had to follow it on my phone.
Yeah.
I'm probably better off for that. But when I saw 3 and out, and I kept saying to myself, and I know I'm partial, where is Ramir Johnson?
I know.
Why do and they're coming to Rutgers on Friday, October 7th.
Yes.
And they're going to hear from me. They come right in the tunnel underneath where I sit.
Huh.
And I'm going to be yelling at Whipple and Applewhite. And he's, where do you think, what's the problem? I thought he showed flashes of really good play last year against Michigan, the wheel routes, catching the ball out of the backfield. I see all these 3 and outs, and I don't see Ramir Johnson.
Gary, I completely agree with you, man. I appreciate the call, and we look forward to seeing you there in Piscataway. I don't understand. I don't. And I'm sure it's something else, because the excuse they give is, well, he's doing both things, and he's kind of caught between. That doesn't make any sense. That's what Scott Frost said. That's what other people have said. I don't get it. Ramir Johnson is one of the best pass catchers you have on the team. If you look at the numbers yesterday, Trey Palmer had 11 targets. 11. Nobody else had more than 3. Alante Brown had 3, had 1 catch. Marcus Washington had 3 and had 2 catches. That was it. Everybody else had 1 or 2 targets after that. Where is Ramir Johnson coming out of the backfield? I don't know. I'd like to see him to change his pace running the ball. I do like Anthony Grant, who didn't have a great game, and I really like A.J. Allen at this point. You watch that kid play, and you're like, just don't transfer. Please stay for a couple more years at Nebraska and build a resume here and don't go someplace else. That's your hope. But Ramir gives you that extra aspect of it, the wheel right out of the backfield, the screenplay, a number of different things. I don't know. I can't answer it. I'm sure there's something besides football. That's all I can figure. Because there's no reason for him to occasionally play on special teams, on coverage teams, and then not be back there. I've seen a couple passes thrown to him in the last 2 weeks. Not this week, but 2 weeks before that. I don't know what's going on. I have no idea. Take a break. We come back. We'll look at some of those coaches, how they did, that are maybe on Trev's list, the ones that we're speculating, and a couple of jobs that may be open, hell, as soon as today or maybe Monday, that Nebraska will be competing against in terms of getting some of this coaching talent in here. We come back here on Severe Reaction.
I thought learning a language would be too much work. Then I discovered Babbel. They make learning fun. J'aime Babel.
Babbel's lessons only take 10 or 15 minutes, quick and easy. And in 3 short weeks, you turn around and realize, hey, I can actually speak another language. How'd that happen? Como si fuera magia.
My friend from Italy said my accent and pronunciation is perfect. It's because Babbel's lessons are designed by language teachers and voiced by real native speakers. Each lesson is like living in another country for 15 minutes.
I love that there's all kinds of ways to learn. Babbel's podcast or games or videos. You can even join live classes with a language teacher.
You learn words and phrases you actually use in real conversations.
In 3 weeks, I was speaking another language. 3 weeks. So easy.
If you want to learn a language, there's no faster, easier, better way than Babbel.
Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
My name is Assad. When I was 19, my mom was diagnosed with colorectal cancer because she smoked. My tip is find things to be thankful for. I'm thankful she quit smoking. I'm thankful for the nurses who taught me how to check her IV and to manage her medication. And I'm thankful for every day we have together because nothing is guaranteed, especially for us.
Call the Nebraska Tobacco Quit Line, 1-800-QUIT-NOW, 1-800-784-8669. Paid for by Tobacco Free Nebraska. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Hello, I'm Doug Nodgaard with Equitable Bank. If you've been dissatisfied with your current banking situation, maybe it's time to move to a bank that works to deserve your business. We have an engaged staff that offers exceptional personalized service. We also have a great digital banking platform. We have 2 locations at 108th and Dodge or 202nd and Pacific. So if you're looking for a superior banking relationship, give us a call at 402-827-8100. We'll answer on the first ring. Equitable Bank, we take banking personally. Member FDIC.
Get a full breakdown of what went right and what went wrong immediately after every Nebraska game with Big Red Overreaction. Presented by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. And by Coors Light, keeping Nebraska chill. Also brought to you by Burton AC Heating, Plumbing, and more. Join the show immediately after the game and sound off with the good, the bad, and the ugly. Big Red Overreaction on 101.9 The Keg and 1620 The Zone.
Buy your next vehicle your way from anywhere with Woodhouse. Start your journey online at woodhouse.com. Easily shop all new and pre-owned inventory, explore payment options, and apply for financing. Ready to purchase? Schedule your new vehicle for pickup from the dealership or have it delivered to your driveway. Need a little extra help in determining your perfect vehicle? Our knowledgeable and local dealerships can guide you to the vehicle that best matches your needs. Experience car buying your way with Woodhouse, a trusted auto partner since 1975.
Now, back to Severe Reaction, powered by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. Here's your host, Michael Severe, on 1620 The Zone.
I have to go back and look at the film, but nobody played very good with a score like that. So I would say that he didn't play very well.
Because he was hurt, or because
No, we needed to get Chuba some reps.
what you think? How do you think Chuba did?
I thought Chuba played okay when he got in there. He made some mistakes, but I thought he was aggressive and he gave us a chance to sustain drives.
Welcome back. Severe Reaction here on 1620 The Zone. Coming up at the bottom of the hour, we'll chat with Stephen M. Sipple about what he saw yesterday, his feel going in, and what direction Nebraska heads in. Is obviously we got to give Mickey 8 more games to see how he does. But you have a list that, you've seen the list out there of different guys. And the afternoon folks were having fun with the computer voice and some of the coaches and trying to rank them and everything. They made a joke about maybe taking all of these coaches and their teams and putting them into a parlay, and you might do pretty well this week. And they were right. So if you go Kyle Whittingham, which I know a lot of people are like, hey, just throw a bunch of money at Kyle Whittingham, and maybe he decides he's done everything he can do at Utah, and maybe he'll decide to come here and try to get a statue at Nebraska. That's what you have to sell, by the way. You turn this around and you win, you are the next hero in this state, at this university. But he, of course, is a member of the Church of Latter-day Saints. Utah is obviously the best place to live if you are a member of that church. He's been there forever. But they beat San Diego State 35-7. Dave Aranda, who I really like, you bring him in here, I guarantee you he fixes his defense. Whether it was Wisconsin, LSU, or now at Baylor, he will fix the defense for sure. 42-7 over Texas State. Mark Stoops, who was made fun of a lot when he got to Kentucky. And then when he was having these classes that were like in the top 10 or top 15, they're like, why are people going there? They're not going to win. It's a basketball school. Mark Stoops beats Youngstown, plays them because, of course, he's from there, 31-0. There's Matt Campbell, a guy who I really honestly believe is at the top of Trev's list. That's just from what I understand, top of Trev's list. Beat Ohio 43-10. They're 3-0. Lance Leipold, who we mentioned earlier, has a background at UNO and at UNL, has been in state forever. Went up to Wisconsin Whitewater, won national titles, went to Buffalo, coached well at Buffalo, was one of the most successful coach in the history of university at Buffalo, okay? And now he's at Kansas sitting there at 3-0. Big win over Houston yesterday. Good job for him. Won 48-30. And there is Bill O'Brien, offensive coordinator at Alabama. You know how big they won over Monroe yesterday. And then the other name that you hear thrown around a little bit is the new Washington head coach. I'm not sure he leaves after only 1 year, but Kalen DeBoer is there at Washington. Big win for them. I thought they'd beat Michigan State, and they took care of them 39-28. So, yeah, if you put all those coaches together and just parlay them, just money line action, because some of them were underdogs, some were favorites, you do pretty well. Here's one issue, though, and this is why some people ask, why do you get rid of Scott Frost when you did? You put your name out there first saying we are looking for a coach, right? Your name's out there. You fired your head coach. Other jobs are going to open. We know that. Auburn could be open as soon as tomorrow. They got taken behind the woodshed, under the woodshed, everywhere in the woodshed by Penn State in the second half yesterday, losing 41-12. I thought Penn State would win the game. I thought it was a 3-point game, maybe a 7-point game. And Penn State took over in the second half. Way to go to Sean Clifford. Kids worked really hard to get to this point. Busted his ass, dealt with the injuries. Big win for them. So Brian Harsin could easily be out. And then there's Georgia Tech, which when Jeff Collins was hired, I was one of those people I like that guy. I thought he had an opportunity. It was going to take a while to go from an offense that was run completely as an option offense to then saying, okay, restart this. Bring in guys who are true tight ends who can catch the ball. Kind of eliminate all the fullbacks you have on the roster, all that stuff. You knew it would take a while, but they are horrible. And I think it's his third year for Jeff Collins now. 42-0 to Ole Miss yesterday. That job is probably going to be open. And I think UCLA was about 2 minutes away from being open with Chip Kelly if they would have lost yesterday. They beat South Alabama yesterday 32-31. South Alabama decided to go for 2 in that situation and didn't get it. Ran like a double reverse thing, and the guy was going to throw a pass and didn't throw. But anyway, I mean, Chip Kelly was close. And if the rest of the season goes like it does playing against South Alabama, he might not make it through the year. So that's 3 jobs. Auburn, more recent success than Nebraska. UCLA is, we know where they've been in terms of struggling. And Georgia Tech, since Paul Johnson's gone, you haven't seen any success there. So I don't know if those are better jobs, worse jobs. I think Nebraska outpays, except maybe Auburn in that situation. Maybe Auburn would pay more than Nebraska would. I don't think Tech would or UCLA would pay as much. So those are other jobs that could be open. So you have that list I went over. And here's the funny thing about it is that none of those guys could be on Trev's list, right? Trev could be thinking a whole different direction. Maybe he's thinking of a coordinator who is very talented, a Jim Leonard type. Maybe he's looking that direction and we don't know. Maybe he's looking to the NFL. Hell, possible. Maybe there's a coordinator in NFL or you have the situation at Carolina where if Carolina gets off to a tough start, you wouldn't be surprised if they made a change and all of a sudden Matt Rhule could come back to college. And how we've seen that, right? We've seen it. Nick Saban, success at Michigan State, wins the national championship at LSU, leaves and goes to Miami, tries to take everything over at Miami. It doesn't work for him, comes back to Alabama. We've seen it. So maybe a guy like Matt Rhule, who got it turned around at Temple, got the job done there. Maybe a guy like Matt Rhule can come back to college and be pretty good. You never know. Saw it at Baylor, did the same thing. So maybe that's a possibility. Maybe that's a guy he's looking at. You never know. Maybe he's looking at somebody we're not even thinking about at all. It's certainly a possibility. But out of those guys, I would love to see Lance Leipold coach here. Dude, you want to talk about somebody who's earned his stripes. That's one of the conversations we've heard about Mickey Joseph the last week or so. Coaching at every level, coaching all the positions, running back, wide receiver, quarterback, all this stuff, and earned this. Lance Leipold's earned this. Johnson Whitewater, he's earned it. Buffalo, he's earned this. Kansas, he's earned this. And with his background from UNO, his background at UNL, it'd be an incredible hire. I would love it. Now, I don't know how many games he's going to win this year at Kansas. That could be a drawback. A lot of fans will look and say to themselves, can you hire a guy who's won however many games at Kansas? I don't know. But I do know this. He's a winner, period. Everywhere he goes, the man's a winner. There are some people saying Matt Campbell has Iowa State going in the wrong direction. They finally beat Iowa, right? They won yesterday big, like they were expected to. Let's see how they do this season. He's got Baylor on deck. Let's see how they do this season. I don't think Matt Campbell has them going in the wrong direction. Bill O'Brien did the ultimate at Penn State under as much stress as possible, had 2 winning seasons. The other guys on the list, Dave Aranda, it's only a couple years at Baylor, but he won a Big 12 championship last year. We know that. A lot of these guys have had a lot of success. Not talking about national championship success, but a lot of success. So any of them could be the situation that it could be going on as well. One more call before we take a break and get to Steve Sipple. Bill joining us here on Severe Reaction. What's up, Bill?
Good morning. How are you?
Bill, I'm surviving. How are you doing?
Oh, all right. Just by happen chance, I did watch that Kansas game yesterday.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, that Leipold's offense is amazing.
Aren't they fun to watch?
Yes, they really are. Yeah. And he's been around. He's been a winner everywhere he's gone. Yep. Develops players. You know, a guy like that, I don't know. I just I see him fitting in very well at Nebraska. That's about all I have.
I completely agree with you, Bill. You nailed it. You're right. He's won everywhere he's been. He has been successful. Here's another thing. This is maybe completely overrated or underrated, however you want to say it. He's a good man. Like, I mean, so any of us who in this business, you end up with a lot of phone numbers in your phone. You just do. A lot of players, a lot of former coaches. And I can tell you, I have reached out to former coaches that I've known that are someplace else and said, hey, congratulations on something. And occasionally you get a text message back from them. The majority of the time you don't. They've moved on. I'm telling you, Lance Leipold, I send him a text, just congratulate him when they win or getting the job. And I get a text back. Now, that doesn't mean everything. He's just a good man. He's like, thank you. How is your family doing? Okay? That's Lance Leipold. He's just a good man. Does that matter in terms of winning? Does it matter in terms of recruiting? God, I hope it does. We'll take a break. We'll come back. We'll talk more about this with our friend Steve Sipple on the other side of Severe Reaction.
I know a lot of you really want the State Farm personal price plan, but what's with the oversharing? Like this message from Sarah.
Hi, Jake from State Farm. I eat hard-boiled eggs, like shell and all. Crunch is exquisite.
You don't need to get that personal. The State Farm personal price plan helps you create an affordable price just for you. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Call or go to statefarm.com for a quote today.
Prices vary by state. Options selected by customer. Availability and eligibility may vary.
I thought learning a language would be too much work. Then I discovered Babbel. They make learning fun. J'aime Babel.
Babbel's lessons only take 10 or 15 minutes. Quick and easy. And in 3 short weeks, you turn around and realize, hey, I can actually speak another language. How'd that happen? Como si fuera magia.
My friend from Italy said my accent and pronunciation is perfect. It's because Babbel's lessons are designed by language teachers and voiced by real native speakers. Each lesson is like living in another country for 15 minutes.
I love that there's all kinds of ways to learn. Babbel's podcast or games or videos. You can even join live classes with a language teacher.
You learn words and phrases you actually use in real conversations.
In 3 weeks, I was speaking another language. 3 weeks. So easy.
If you want to learn a language, there's no faster, easier, better way than Babbel.
Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
Get a full breakdown of what went right and what went wrong immediately after every Nebraska game with Big Red Overreaction. Presented by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. And by Coors Light, keeping Nebraska chill. Also brought to you by Burton AC Heating, Plumbing, and more. Join the show immediately after the game and sound off with the good, the bad, and the ugly. Big Red Overreaction on 101.9 The Keg and 1620 The Zone.
Since this is a radio commercial, you can't see the people standing behind me. They're the Langfeld family. Everybody wave. Oh, sorry, you can't see them because radio. Anyway, the Langfelds are the family behind Langfeld Overhead Door, where they proudly install Midland garage doors to fit any space and style. And they don't take a backseat to anyone when it comes to their service. Because if something goes wrong, it's their name on the line. So they're going to make sure it goes right every single time. Langfeld Overhead Door, 402-234-2700.
I'm Giselle. I received a kidney transplant.
My name is Scott, and my mother-in-law has kidney disease.
I'm Miles. My grandma's on dialysis.
I'm Barb. My husband has IgA nephropathy.
I'm Randall. My mom is a kidney transplant recipient.
I'm Buffy. My mom is a living kidney donor.
I'm Lisa, Executive Director for the Nebraska Kidney Association. I'd like to invite you to join us at the Sheriff's Fair Color Run on October 15th at Walnut Creek Recreation Area in Papillion. For more information, go to kidneyne.org.
Now, back to Severe Reaction, powered by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. Here's your host, Michael Severe, on 1620 The Zone.
We got to work more fundamentals with him this week. We got to find a good five combination of five of them and see how it works. You know, but we got to look at, like I said, we got to look at some young kids. We got to look at some backups and see if they can help us.
Welcome back, Severe Reaction, here on 1620 The Zone. My friend from HuskerOnline.com, Stephen M. Sipple, joining us here. Good morning, Sip. How are you doing this Sunday?
Michael, fine. How are you doing?
I'm all right, man. I was really hoping for a close shootout kind of fun game yesterday. Instead, we got a second half that was like somebody was pulling teeth out of my mouth in the dentist's office.
Yeah, I think there was a lot of hope going into that game that, that change, firing Scott and naming Mickey the interim would have this sort of magical impact.
Yeah.
And you just really want to get into it. That's sort of the big lesson in my mind that I took away is that, I think there was a level of delusion almost that, just making one change and getting maybe a jolt of emotional energy could make such a big difference when in reality, we should have just looked at it for what it is. Oklahoma's a much better team.
Right.
Nebraska's defense is playing at a historically bad level. And I just learned not to get too swept up. I think I got like a lot of people just kind of got swept up in the emotion.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. And again, I didn't really see any local people picking Nebraska to win, but I think we all thought maybe the offense would be able to move the ball. Was that one of the bigger surprises than how much they struggled? How many?
Yeah. There wasn't a lot of people pick them to win, and even Oklahoma media. Barry Tram. I don't mind saying a couple of names. Barry Tram was a friend of mine, has been for a long time. He anticipated a very close game. Dean Blevins, he's the sports director for an Oklahoma City station who's covered Oklahoma forever.
Yep.
Thought Nebraska would win. Now they didn't get swept up. What that illustrates, Michael, and now I can answer your question. What that illustrates is they just didn't think Oklahoma was that good. And so, yeah, I thought Nebraska might be able to move the ball more than it did. I didn't, hey, Michael, like you, I didn't envision Nebraska having 12 straight empty possessions.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say about that. Oklahoma does have a fast, twitchy defense. It's not a great defense, but it's Venables, who's one of the foremost defensive minds in the world, probably. And he has that. He's notorious for having a strong blitz package. Now, I don't think they did anything crazy, but
they confused the hell out of the offensive line, Sip. The offensive line looked like they were on skates. They didn't know where guys were coming from. It was bad.
Yeah. And so I think you have to give the Oklahoma coaching staff some credit for that. Some. I don't like doing that where I don't credit the players. The players are making the play.
Right.
And they're fast guys that came off the edge. They came inside and they overwhelmed Nebraska.
Steve Sipple joining us here on Severe Reaction, of course, HuskerOnline.com. Sip, one of the things that Mickey said after the game was, yeah, we've got to recruit better. Some people say, hey, don't say that because then you're downgrading your team. You don't want them to feel bad. But it's just honest, right? We've talked about this over and over, you and I. They just need better talent. I thought this was a great example, Sip. You watch Luke Reimer out there, who is one of Nebraska's best defenders. And there were times where he just couldn't run with Oklahoma. And as good as he is, wasn't good enough against this team. They need better talent, right?
Right. Mickey, yeah. As a coach, you do have to walk kind of a delicate line.
Yeah.
They were overwhelmed by an Oklahoma team that had one preseason All Big 12 pick.
Right.
And that was the punter. The talent discrepancy on yesterday was profound.
Yeah.
And that's not an overly talented Oklahoma team. Yeah. We've been saying it for years. I've always been surprised in recent years the pushback you get from people who say no, talent wasn't an issue. It's a gigantic issue. It has been a gigantic issue, and it certainly is. I mean, and now it's glaring. I guess it's more glaring now.
Sure.
I don't know. But yeah, we've talked about it. There's no all Big Ten guys. You know, you're not seeing all Big Ten players, and that should be a red flag. I think what's happened is Nebraska. You know, I think around here, the media and fans have gotten kind of used to it. They've gotten used to not having all Big Ten players, and so again, I think a level of delusion sets in.
And when you say all Big Ten, you're not talking about first, second team, maybe even third team. You're just honorable mention guys, right? I mean, there's not a lot of those guys.
Some of those, I think.
Trey Palmer's probably one of them. I think Buford's played at that level because of some of the plays he's made, but there's nobody on the offensive line. Maybe Garrett Nelson, maybe. I mean, it's limited to the amount of guys there are that's even honorable mention. Maybe Newsome.
Anthony Grant, right?
I don't know. After yesterday, I mean, were those first 3 games just because they were playing against defenses that aren't very good?
Well, I don't know.
We're going to find out.
Yeah, we'll find out. Now,
Yeah.
what's happened that's interesting. Now, I think A.J. Allen's hurt. But,
Yeah, he is. He's out for a while.
yeah.
Yeah.
Now, what I think was happening, he must have been pushing Grant in practice.
Oh,
to
yeah.
a pretty significant extent because they were playing A.J. at key moments. I mean, so that's a good sign for that position. I don't know. There's not many good signs right now because everything's in flux. But
yeah.
But at that position, you had 2 pretty good guys. Now you're down back to Anthony Grant. It looks like for a while.
Yeah, and you'd hope that, and I don't know what happened with Ramir Johnson, but we saw at the end of the year last year that he was doing some positive things. They talked him up in the spring. Maybe there's Yan, of course, and Gabe Irvin looked good for a little while there. Do you see any hope behind Anthony Grant that maybe there could be somebody that could fill in for A.J. Allen?
Irvin.
Yeah.
Yeah, Irvin and Ramir Johnson. Irvin looks like they'll get the first crack at it, and he did run hard yesterday.
Yeah.
Ran well and ran with confidence, and he showed that quality that I like. That I mean, he's into it. He loves it. He wants to be good. You can see it by the way he ran, the way he popped up off the ground. I like his spirit. I like his energy. He'll get the first crack at it. Ramir will be there. So I'd say those are the 2 guys.
There's obviously a long list of coaches that people keep bringing up that could maybe have this job, maybe would want this job, maybe Trev would offer the job, right? Long list. And obviously, I want to see Mickey get a full chance at it. But is there a name out there in all of this that's been thrown out there that really jumps to you that makes Steve Sipple say that guy could get it done?
Urban Meyer. I mean,
well, of course. There's no doubt.
Yeah. I mean, it's a really, 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 really interesting conversation right now. I guess in some ways it's not. He's polarizing. That's predictable.
Right.
And you can see that in the various reactions that fans have on social media. Some are some think it's a no-brainer. Others don't want any part of it.
Right.
Again, I guess in it, that's fairly predictable. Other than that, there's nobody that really, really jumps off the page to me. I think that Lance Leipold now will get. I mean, what he's doing at Kansas is fairly remarkable.
Yeah.
Or just remarkable. And this is only his 2nd year now. They've gone on the road back-to-back weeks and have beaten West Virginia and Houston.
Yep.
And that should get people's attention. Now they got a chance to go 4-0, Kansas, because they played Duke at home.
Yep.
On Saturday. He's done you almost say a remarkable job at Kansas. So that he gets your attention. It's interesting that now Kansas' schedule is going to get really difficult now in the last 6-7 games.
Sure.
Really, really hard. So he does have to make some hay early. Of course, there's other names. Mark Stoops is interesting to me. I've been saying all week, Bill O'Brien. I like his background. I like the fact he works with quarterbacks, the most important position in sports. So there's a lot of names being bandied about, as there should be.
Sip, if they can beat Duke, Kansas, we could have the Iowa State Kansas matchup of Matt Campbell versus Lance Leipold, the battle for Nebraska's coaching job in 2 weeks.
Yeah, Campbell's definitely in the, he's a name everybody brings up. It seems like people have cooled on him a little bit. I mean, that's the vibe I get anyway.
Yeah, I don't know why.
It's not. 7-6 last year.
Yeah. And you know what? We can dig deeper into that and look at the injuries they had and make excuses and everything, and I get it. But it's still Iowa State where he is. I mean, can we remember where he's coaching? I mean, he's had 6 winning seasons. I told you this on Big Red Wrap-Up. He had 6 winning seasons, and I believe in the last 40 years they've had 8. So I mean, outside of his, I mean, he's at Kansas. Come on. I mean, it's Iowa State. I mean,
sorry. Yeah. You're old enough, and I'm old enough to remember when Iowa State was. I don't even know how to describe it. It was just not.
Yeah.
It was just a wasteland. It was kind of a college football wasteland where you almost just you only went there if you had to.
Right. Yeah.
And now, no, they've changed it. And you got to credit Jamie Pollard too.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It's not.
Definitely.
Yeah, I don't want to just say that Matt Campbell's all his work.
Right.
Pollard has made that place formidable.
He raised the money.
But you know what? Part of that is finding the exact right coach.
Right.
That's what Nebraska's got to do.
Yeah. Last thing, Sip, and I know this is something that we heard a lot after the game yesterday, but is there anything that's going to help by changing an assistant? Like, I know everybody wants to get Eric Nanner fired. I don't know who they'd even replace him with if they were going to do that, but can anything get better in your opinion? Is it worthwhile to make a move on one of the assistants?
I don't think so. I mean, you can't. You're not. I hope people understand. At this point, you don't bring in anybody from the outside.
Right.
That's completely unfamiliar with the personnel. Michael, my stance on it as of last night, now you could sway me, is that there's enough tumult in the program. The kids have seen now their head coach, be jettisoned. They have an interim coach. I don't know if now you fire the defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
I think that's a lot. That's a lot. I mean, you have a new offensive coordinator calling the plays now, brand new one, first year guy. Now you're going to shake up that staff. I think I would, if I were Mickey, I'd be thinking about the players and all of the, I guess I'll just call it tumult.
Right.
That's a lot of movement and a lot of change, and you're in the middle of a season. I wouldn't do it now. Yeah, I don't know about you, but I'm hearing it could happen.
Right.
So, I mean, I'm kind of on guard today.
Right.
We'll see.
Well, Mickey even couched it right last night or yesterday by saying nothing today, but you never know tomorrow.
After he watches the video,
right.
We'll see what happens.
Sip, have a great rest of your Sunday. I always appreciate it. Love you, man.
Love you too, and I appreciate you having me on, Michael.
No problem. Stephen M. Sipple, Husker Online through the On3 network. I believe that's how it's pronounced. Real quick, we'll take a call, and then we'll take a break, wrap this thing up. Let's go to Daniel on 402-951-1620. What's up, Daniel?
Hi. Nothing about ready to say is new. So
it's new from you, though. It's new me getting it from you, so it's new. Yeah.
Okay, so the old is it the X's and O's or the Jimmy and the Joe, right?
Sure, that's the debate all the time, yeah.
Right. So I'm like, well, are we just debating the same old debate? Is it technique? Or is it just they have good hearts, all drive, and we're just out talented? Or both. I don't know. So I was online this morning reading some articles, having coffee.
Yeah.
I won't say the name. Somebody on the offensive line said they kept doing something new all the time, and that made it confusing for us.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, okay, well.
Why aren't we countering what they're doing, you're saying?
Or, like, are you thinking they're just going to do the same thing every time?
Right.
Like, anyway, so there's my thoughts from your more advanced thoughts.
Thank you, Daniel. I appreciate it. Listen, that is something that will drive you crazy if you let it. Post-game comments, when you're coming off of a loss, you take them a little bit with a grain of salt, because sometimes people are so emotional They say things that they wouldn't say if they were thinking right. But we did see that. And Mickey even mentioned it in his post. He talked about how they were doing some different things, and they were doing some zero coverage and some A-gap blitz, and they were changing their front to odd to even. They were doing a lot of stuff, and that's what you teach the offensive line and the running backs to be able to counter. But here, there are some basic rules in this world of football. Like Miles Farmer said, get to the guy, make the tackle. There's some basic rules. You block inside out. The guy on the outside is less of a danger than the guy on the inside because it's a shorter distance to get to you. So if there's a guy inside you who is free and there's a guy that's outside of you who's free, you block the inside guy who is free because it gives your quarterback more of a chance. That's a basic rule of football. And you don't see that done occasionally by some of the offensive linemen that Nebraska has. That's an issue. Is that coaching? Is it talent? I don't know. We'll take a break. We'll come back. We'll take the last of the calls, and we'll wrap the show up here on a Sunday on Severe Reaction.
Experience the difference Tyson Foods Council Bluffs case-ready facility can make. They're seeking second shift general laborers starting at $19.25 per hour. They're also seeking industrial maintenance starting at $28.35 per hour with greater earning upon completion of training, as well as industrial refrigeration at $29.65 per hour, also with greater earnings upon completion of training. Now offering a $4,000 referral bonus and $1,000 hiring bonus. Apply on site every Wednesday and Thursday from 9 to noon or call 712-329-4333 for details. Tyson Foods, equal opportunity affirmative action employer, vets and disability.
After 24 years as an Omaha staple, Horseman's Park Simulcast facility is getting ready for major renovations on Sunday, September 18th. The Simulcast facility is preparing to move to its transitional infield location. So before casino construction begins, don't miss this opportunity to watch and wager on over 700 TVs. Take advantage of food and drink specials, door prizes, and so much more. Come enjoy Horseman's Park before we move to the track infield. Open 7 days a week. Horseman's Park, Omaha's best bet.
Hello, I'm Doug Nodgard with Equitable Bank. If you've been dissatisfied with your current banking situation, maybe it's time to move to a bank that works to deserve your business. We have an engaged staff that offers exceptional personalized service. We also have a great digital banking platform. We have 2 locations at 108th and Dodge or 202nd and Pacific. So if you're looking for a superior banking relationship, give us a call at 402-827-8100. We'll answer on the first ring. Equitable Bank, we take banking personally. Member FDIC.
Get a full breakdown of what went right and what went wrong immediately after every Nebraska game with Big Red Overreaction. Presented by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. And by Coors Light, keeping Nebraska chill. Also brought to you by Burton AC Heating, Plumbing, and more. Join the show immediately after the game and sound off with the good, the bad, and the ugly. Big Red Overreaction on 101.9 The Keg and 1620 The Zone. Now, back to Severe Reaction, powered by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. Here's your host, Michael Severe, on 1620 The Zone.
People who aren't in there with y'all, what do you want to say to the people who aren't in there, don't see what you see? What is your message to them right now?
There is no message. Y'all not in here with us. What y'all want to know for? Y'all gonna see what happens on Saturday. We just gotta come to work, that's all.
Severe Reaction here on 1620 The Zone. Go back to the phones as we wrap up on a Sunday. Hobbs, how are you doing, man? I can't remember the last time you sent me that many texts in a row yesterday. That was interesting. you were on a roll.
$2,000 lighter. That's what I am.
Oh man, I asked the guy earlier who came from Kansas City for the game and spent the weekend here how much money he spent. It wasn't a ton for him because he had somebody to stay with. But there are 2 or 3 games that I've known you've gone through. You've dropped cash on this program. And they have disappointed you every single time.
Yeah, I'm 0-6. There's no doubt about that. Every game I've been to. I don't think I've experienced. I take that back. I went to the Michigan State game, the 9-6 game.
Oh, yeah.
And we won it. But those tickets were given to me. So, yeah, other than that, I'm 0-6, man. It's bad. Have you seen, and I talked to you about this yesterday.
Yeah.
Beyond the first 2 or 3 drives, and maybe even it happened then, and I just didn't know it. But have you seen a team just not be set or not get their calls in on defense like so consistently.
It was like they were surprised that Oklahoma goes that fast. And the second drive where Gabriel has a long run, 2 or 3 plays in a row, it was like they were surprised that Oklahoma was going that fast.
Yeah.
They were looking at this. You can't look to the sidelines when Oklahoma's going every like 12 seconds. You can't.
I mean, I've been a pretty, pretty strong
adamant,
defender. Been a very, I can think the word, very adamant defender of Chenander.
Yeah.
And yesterday, it seemed to me like that was the first time in a long time that I felt like he was unprepared and that he was severely outcoached. I'm going to throw away the Georgia Southern thing, right? I mean, but last night or yesterday when I was coming home, and last night as I thought of it, it was like, I wonder here's my mind went here. Where's the relationship between him and Frost? Is it that strong to where now he's a liability for the rest of the year? Like, I actually went there, you know what I mean? Because
I don't think so.
I don't know how else to explain being that inept to where you're not even lying. Being out talented is one thing. We saw Luke Reimer last week act like remember not Varsity Blues. Remember the Titans?
Yeah.
And they took Yost, you're taking my kid out. Yost, they need to take Reimer out. Not Reimer. Yeah, Reimer. Yeah, then they go back. You need to take Reimer out, man. And his dad need to be yelling and say, "What are you doing? Taking my kid out." You need to take that kid out because he was getting ran by. He's getting beat like a drum. He's getting beat like a drum.
I think part of their issue, though, to line up, and we saw this back with Northwestern, is you went from having 2 6-year guys back there, whether it's transfer or not for D. Will. You had 2 6-year guys back there. You had a 3-year starter in Cam Taylor-Britt, plus you had all these veterans who helped everybody get set up. Now you got newcomers back there who I don't know their safety position as much as I like Buford. It's kind of a mess, and the nickel position, as you mentioned, is a mess. So that's part of the reason they just don't have the guys there that know what they're doing. I don't think.
Well, sure, you've been there for 5 years. Like, either way, you're screwed. Either way, this is on them.
Sure.
Either you develop the guys or you recruit somebody who can come in and play immediately. Either way, it's on them, man.
Right.
I guess, listen, I'm gonna have some extra money this fall. I don't think I'm gonna go to another one. That's ridiculous.
I have gone to 8 road games, Nebraska road games in a row that they have lost. 8. And almost every time I took the family, we went to Northwestern, we went to Purdue, we've traveled, and it's 8 straight losses on the road Nebraska games, and most of them they had a lead.
Unless you talk me into it, I'm not.
Yeah, I don't know if there's nothing this year for sure. The only thing I actually thought about was, because I love New York and I wouldn't mind going spend a weekend in New York, would be Piscataway. That was it. That was the only one I thought about. So yeah. Anyway,
wow.
Yeah.
All right, man. We'll talk.
All right, man. Talk to you later. Zach, if you can go in 30 seconds, go ahead. We're almost out of time.
Oh, we got 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Okay, this is Zach. Hey, man, I know I was listening yesterday a little bit, and they're talking about, hey, let's rally around Mickey Joseph. And that is true. Nothing personal against him, but I think people forget that, he hasn't won a game yet. And I think Trev Alberts is doing him a great, huge solid.
Yep.
Like, okay, we're going to have a little bit of games going on here. The other point I want to make real quick is Trev Alberts made a mistake. He should have fired Frost last year. If you're going to go with him, you should have gone with him and not fire him after 3 games. That's just my opinion. No one's really ever talking about that, but he should have done that. I think someone's making other decisions behind the scenes.
Yeah. Zach, hey, Zach, we appreciate it, man. We got to get out. Hey, look, I think that he wanted to, but he knew if he fired him after last year, he would have been a Frank Soule situation where people would have been on 2 sides of it. This way, he allowed Frost to have that leeway to fire himself by losing to Georgia Southern. I've said that all along. I think that's why he didn't fire him last year. He had reason to. He didn't do it because he didn't want to split the fan base. Now the fan base, I think the majority of them say, yeah, you had to fire him. So I think that's why Trev did it. The money, it's a lot, but University of Nebraska can obviously afford it. We'll be back tomorrow morning. You got Sharp and Binning at 6 o'clock, and, of course, Connor Happer and more on 1620 The Zone.
If you or someone you know is having thoughts of suicide or experiencing a mental health or substance use crisis, call 988 for free, confidential, and compassionate support. The National Suicide Prevention Lifeline has a new number,